Hi, my name's Frank Turner and you are watching awoo.stockholm.
Stockholm.
Hello, Frank Turner.
Hi.
It's awfully nice to have you here.
It's awfully nice to be here.
And we're just wondering, for the maybe 5 people who haven't heard of you yet, could you describe yourself in like 3 words?
English country punk.
Great.
But I feel like I'm the wrong person to ask that question for the record. Yeah.
But who should we ask?
Anybody else.
Okay. Like the first time you played in Stockholm was in 2009, and it was like a handful of people, and one of the most touching moments I thought was when grown men were singing along to photosynthesis to I won't sit down, I won't shut up, and most of all I won't grow up. Now at 32, how's that going?
It's going very well, I think. I mean, you know, it's kind of the thing about that song. I mean, you know, it's still a song we play every show. You know what I mean? People love that song. That's great. I'm very grateful for that. In the lyric sheet for it, the words "grow up" are in quote marks because it's not necessarily a question of, you know, I don't want to sort of go for some Peter Pan kind of idea, but it's more, I guess the song is about when people say "grow up," sort of with reference to kind of like essentially be boring, be unambitious, be unadventurous. And I'm still like to think of myself as adventurous. Yeah, so it's going very well, yeah.
And you've also recently, or it was recently shown on TV, that you won the quiz show Mastermind.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thanh you. I always wanted to be on Mastermind when I was a kid. It was like one of my ambitions.
Yeah.
And I was very happy that it worked.
What's your next childhood ambition that you're going for?
I don't know. That's a difficult question. Well, actually, we're playing a gig with Iron Maiden actually this summer, which I'm just so excited about. I can barely speak. So I'm a big Iron Maiden fan.
That's brilliant. And 2009, when you were here with Gaslight Anthem.
Yes.
What was that like?
It was great. I mean, the Gaslight boys and I spent pretty much all of 2009 on tour together in the UK and in Europe and in America and in Canada. And they're very lovely people and a great band and everything. Yeah, we had, and on that tour as well, there's a band called Polar Bear Club played as well. And we got stranded in Stockholm for 4 days because somebody broke into Gaslight's van in Malmo, which meant that they missed the ferry to Helsinki, and I was in the other van, but like we didn't want to get on the ferry and go to Helsinki if the headline band wasn't going to be there, so we were just sat there kind of going, what do we do? Gaslight didn't show up, and then we had no money, so we stayed in the hotel over the road. We got one single room and we had 8 people sleeping in there for 4 days, and it was the most disgusting thing. Like, I mean, like people were going out to the bars in the evening and trying really, really, really hard to like chat up a girl so that they could sleep somewhere other than a room full of 8 fucking guys. It's and unsuccessfully, I might add. So yeah, that was a funny one. But the show went finally on the 4th day. The show was really fun. But then we drove to Copenhagen the next day, and I got off on stage in Copenhagen. And I said hello Stockholm because I'd been here for so long, but I just had it in my head that we were in Stockholm, and they didn't like that.
Yeah,
it didn't go down well. Yeah.
You had a day off in Stockholm yesterday.
Yeah.
What did you get up to? Was it any more pleasant than last time?
Yeah, I had a room to myself, so that was, I've moved up in the world, you know what I mean? Yeah, I have some old friends from Stockholm, so I hung out with some friends. But I got an early night, which was glorious, because tour is tiring.
Yeah. You've written 5 brilliant albums, played Wembley and the Olympic Games in London, and strangely people were calling you a sellout before you were even playing big arenas.
Yeah.
And you once said you have like a hilarious list of things or reasons people give when they call you a sellout.
Yeah, it's not like an official list, but I kind of keep one going.
What's your top 3?
Somebody once told me I was a sellout because I did a tour in a van that had seats in it, not just the equipment shoved in the back.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty funny. Somebody once called me a sellout because I had a suitcase on wheels instead of a rucksack. Because I did the same squat twice in a row, like on 2 tours. The first time I had a rucksack, and I have back problems because I'm tall and skinny. And the second time I went through with a roller suitcase, and they were like, fucking sell out. And then somebody called me a sellout just the other day for mentioning that. Okay, these are throat sweets, right? I'm a singer. They're really good for my voice, and the guys who run the company are friends of mine now, and they sent me some the other day, and I mentioned it on Twitter, and apparently that makes me sell out. And it's just fuck off. Do you know what I mean? It's like, get a hobby. Actually, the thing about it that really, I'm going to have a rant now. The thing that I always want to say, because the thing about coming from a punk rock background, is the world's always going to be full of people who want to call you a sellout for getting out of bed or not getting out of bed or breathing in or breathing out, whatever the fuck it is. And the thing I always want to say to those people is, you know what, I'm still doing exactly what I did, like, in terms of my approach and my ethos and all the rest of it, as I did when I first started out. And if you're somebody who's changed your opinion of me simply because more people are into what I do, you're a fucking sellout. Because to me, what sellout means is somebody who lets their opinion about music be dictated by something other than the music itself. So, I'm not the fucking sellout. You're a fucking sellout if you decide you don't like my records anymore simply because more than 10 people know who I am. Fuck you, you're a sellout.
That's a great rant.
Thank you.
And I also want to add, like, the sense of community maybe that you had in the punk scene. I think that's just what you do now, that you show people, these are my friends, they're doing this, they're great too. Like.
Yeah, totally. Well, I mean, I have to say, okay, I should preface this by saying that I'm not really the right person to talk about this objectively because I'm on the stage rather than in the crowd, but I'd like to feel there's a kind of feeling of camaraderie at my shows. And in some ways, I guess I'm very pleased about that, and that's something I want to encourage because that's what I loved about the hardcore scene that I became part of. But in some ways, I feel like there's more of that in my shows now than there is at punk shows that I go to, you know. And I don't really care whether you put the punk label on it or not anymore. I'm too old to give a shit about that kind of thing. But I like the idea of it, the feeling at the shows being that everybody's welcome and nobody's being judged, and everybody can just have a good time.
That's great. That answered a question that I'm not going to even ask now. Okay. But
I promise I'm not reading them before you read them out.
That's okay. Do you find that songs change a lot on tour? Like, which songs?
Songs do. They change. They ebb and flow. It's one of the things I like about them. You know, it's kind of a funny thing that, like, a recording, I have mixed feelings about records generally because obviously they serve a purpose and you know, I listen to lots of records and all the rest of it, but like, from my own point of view, I feel a little bit like a song is like, a recording of a song is sort of a snapshot, and it's not how it's going to be forever. And I'm not saying it's going to like radically change. I'm not quite kind of at the point of like Counting Crows completely overhauling their songs. But, you know, Photosynthesis has kind of ebbed and flowed. We played that song more than any other, I would say. And sometimes we do solo stripped down versions of songs. Sometimes we kind of make full band arrangements of solo songs. And, you know, a song is kind of is a skeleton, and it can have different flesh on it. And I like that. It kind of makes it interesting for me.
Can I ask you about one specific song? The Road, The Horizon Is My Home, you dropped it?
Oh yeah, it's that, yeah, I mean, it's not for any reason of not liking that section of the song or whatever. I think it's just that I like sets to be kind of punchy and snappy, and quite often it's just kind of cooler to go bang straight into another song at the end of the head bit. Plus also, I have a habit of writing songs that have like an acoustic tail on them, and I've got a lot of songs that do that, and after a while it's like, man, we can't do this every time. So there are some where we just go bang into the next thing.
But it is a lovely line though.
Thank you.
So I'm happy whenever you play it.
Okay.
Like, you've got a lot of side projects as well, like the Buddies record and In It For The Tank.
Yeah.
And Mongol Horde.
Yeah.
How are they doing?
Well, In It For The Tank is not really a thing anymore because, alas, Barbs, who was part of the other half of that, isn't on my career anymore. So we're still friends, but like, I mean, well, it wasn't ever really anything serious. It was just kind of mucking around on tour. So that's that, and then the Buddies thing, I mean, me and John, I mean, we have this idea about doing Buddies too. Buddies Take Manhattan is what we want to call it, but it's a question of finding time. Not very much time, obviously, because the whole idea is that it's quick, but we did a Buddies New Year song a couple of years ago that was really fun. I'd actually completely forgotten about that until the other day when I was looking through some old files and found it and was like, holy shit. And then Mongol Horde's kind of the serious one right now. Like, we are mixing the album right now, it's going to be out soon, and we're going to do a tour around it at some point. I couldn't say when, but soon. Okay,
we're looking forward to that. You don't only collaborate with other people, but you also cover other people's songs, like Thunder Road and On a Plane and Dancing Queen. How do you choose your covers?
Usually it's just songs that I like. I mean, yeah. I mean, occasionally there are sort of project ones like. I did a cover of a Noel Coward song for a split with Franz Nicolai that I really love how that came out, and I did it because he suggested Noel Coward, and I went and found a Noel Coward song I like. But most of the time it's just a song that I like. I also think if you're going to record a cover, I mean, playing it live is one thing, but if you're actually going to record a cover, you've got to find a way of like finding your own angle on it, otherwise you might as well not bother. So there's that. The other thing as well is that on the American tour that we did last year, American Canadian tour, I had a really good time doing regional covers. So every day, try and find a band or a singer that was from the town that we were in and learn a song by them during soundcheck kind of thing. And it was kind of an interesting challenge for me, actually, to learn songs that quickly and that many songs. But it was cool. I mean, some of them were a bit throwaway. Like I did a Jimmy Buffett song in Mobile, Alabama that was like whatever. My friend Jay's going to kill me for saying that about Jimmy Buffett, by the way. But then at the other end, like, I mean, I covered the Allman Brothers in Tampa, Florida, and it's actually kind of become one of my favorite songs recently.
Cool.
Rambling Man. So.
Is there any song that you'd like to cover but you don't dare to?
Tom Petty. I have done a cover of American Girl, which is kind of fun. But like, I find that Tom Petty is a remarkable songwriter to me because his songs are very, very simple, and I think they're very difficult to cover effectively. And there's something about they're kind of like they're like cobwebs. They kind of fall apart in your hands if you try and pick them up. And it's weird because it's like I know all of those chords and I know the words and I know the melody, but you start playing it and it just doesn't sound anything like his songs. So I'm wary of covering Tom Petty.
You've also taken up some folk songs, like old folk songs, like Barbara Ellen. Why is that?
Well, I'm interested in traditional English music. I mean, when I started out, I used the word folk to describe what I was doing, which was partly because I was listening to stuff that came under folk in iTunes or whatever, you know, Ryan Adams or whatever, and partly because it was kind of an ideological statement about wanting the shows to be for everybody and music for everybody. But quite quickly, I kind of started getting kind of shouted at by people from the traditional folk scene, saying it's not folk music because it's not traditional songs, and I was kind of defensive about it at the time, but I have to say I think they're probably right now, you know, or at least I think we should make a clear distinction about traditional music being different from kind of what I do. And I think I'm really interested in traditional music and I find it fascinating. And I was actually kind of messing around with the idea of doing a record of traditional English songs. I kind of put it on hold because my friend John Bowden from Bellowhead did this record called Folk Song a Day, where he did 365 English folk songs, one every day for a year, and I kind of went, whoa, okay, okay, you've done that now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's kind of a cool and interesting intellectual project for me.
You pay tribute to other authors. Can't get this question out. Okay. You pay tribute to other artists also by mentioning them in your songs. For example, you go hitchhiking with Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
What would you do with Kurt Cobain in a song?
Time to fucking stop being a mopey cunt. That's a terrible thing to say. I'm a massive Nirvana fan, but they were one of the first bands, aside from like Maiden and Metallica, that I really got into. And I mean, how long have you got? We could talk about Nirvana for a really long time now. My sort of feelings about them have changed quite a lot over the years, because first, looking at them now, age 32 rather than age 12, I mean, on the one hand, I feel like I understand their place in the context of music a lot better, and kind of like them more as a result. I mean, when I first heard them as a kid, I didn't know who Husker Du and Big Black and bands like that were, and now that I do, I kind of feel like I sort of see what they came from, but also how excellent they were. Because I really do think they're one of the greatest bands in history. At the same time, when I was younger, I think I was slightly overawed by the glamour of Kurt Cobain as the great lost tragic soul who killed himself. Now that I'm older and I have more experience of the world and of people and of that kind of thing, I find that much more problematic. I think that, I have experience with drugs, and I've known a lot of people who've lost themselves to heroin and indeed suicide, and it's something that I think is indulged a little too much societally. I think that I have difficulty with the idea of a fabulously rich, successful rock star whose life is so terrible. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was like, it's such a burden being in Nirvana, and the answer is, you know what, man, put out 2 shit records in a row and no one will care. That's all you got to do. Or just stop releasing music and go and live in Alaska or something. Do you know what I mean? Anyway. But I mean, I would have been an amazing and interesting guy to meet.
What would you do with Neil Young in a song?
Neil Young, I'm fascinated by. I think Neil Young for me is somebody who, when he's good, he's one of the greatest, and when he's bad, he's laughably bad. But I kind of like the way that he's not afraid to try crazy shit in public, even if it kind of completely fucks up. I think that's kind of cool. What I'd do with Neil Young? I'd play some acoustic guitar on the beach in 1973.
Ah, that sounds lovely.
Yeah.
Freddie Mercury.
Haha, Freddie, fucking greatest of them all. God damn it. You know what? I'd just like to watch Freddie Mercury play the piano for hours. He knew more about chord changes than I ever will. And just the best frontman ever, easily, unquestionably.
Cool. You mentioned, like, you have a song called Sailor's Boots, and you mentioned you have a song called Sea Legs as well, and you mentioned the English Channel. Like, what does the sea mean to you?
Yeah, I've got a bit of a thing about the sea, huh? Busted. I mean, partly, you know, I grew up on an island, and also, like, I mean, this is kind of what Sailor's Boots is about. Historically, the English were a nation of sailors for a long time. Not so much anymore, but I'm kind of, like, for myself, my own family history, there's a lot of kind of nautical stuff in there. But there's something that I find about the sea that's quite humbling. You know, it's just, you stand by the sea and a lot of other things seem small and trivial by comparison. I find that reassuring. I like the idea of living by the sea when I'm old.
But if you end up by the kind of sea that they have in Dirk Gently by Douglas Adams, that's kind of creepy. It was like a heaving sea.
Yeah. But I mean, the sea is wild. That's one of the things you like about it. What I like about it, it's not tameable. Do you know what I mean? And like, so there's been all these storms in the UK recently, really crazy storms in the southwest, and some people kind of bemoaning, oh, it's terrible, and the rest of it. I kind of like it. It's like, yeah, you know, there are things outside of our control. That's kind of cool.
In Good and Gone, you criticise Hollywood for dressing up our daughters as princesses. If you could make a film for your goddaughter Eva May, what would it be about?
That is a fine question. Right now, it would be about the Moomins. She's really into the Moomins right now. But no, I don't know. I guess I don't know. I'll show some of the shit I've done in my life and say, don't do this. I guess the thing about that line for me is just that I feel like there's an assumption about happy endings that's kind of born of the kind of facile narrative structure. And it, you know, I'm not saying that we shouldn't make movies that have happy endings, that they make for better films, I suppose, but it's like, I mean, for myself, like, you know, I think everybody kind of assumes that you're going to find that perfect one other person and sail off into sunset and live happily forever after. And all the other complications in your life will melt away, and everything will be simple and lovely and perfect, and it probably won't. It isn't for me, at any rate. And I think it's important to remember that.
What would you put on the soundtrack for the film? Like, maybe also like a female musician that she could look up to?
Regina Spektor.
Cool.
I love Regina Spektor. I think she's one of the greatest songwriters alive today. I think she's not given enough credit as a songwriter. The shit she does is remarkable. Like, really fucking wild, out there shit. And she's got brilliant videos as well. Yes,
like,
she does.
To eat.
Yeah, I'm slightly in love with her, but she's married, unfortunately.
Ah. Oh, well, you never know. This is the last question. You tweeted that you're working on new songs and that your next album is going to be a monster. So what kind of monster are we thinking? Are we like thinking the Cookie Monster, the Loch Ness Monster, Frankenstein's monster?
The Incredible Hulk.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's going to be a short record, a short chart record. I've been listening to Out Come the Wolves by Rancid a lot, and Sam Cooke actually, One Night Stand in Harlem Square. Just kind of short, punchy songs. I want to make kind of a punk soul record, something like that.
Cool.
We'll see.
We're looking forward to that.
Me too.
Thank you so much for the interview.
It's fun.
But we have like 2 or 3 little things for you to do, if that's fine.
Yeah.
Could you maybe read the name of our blog?
It's a surprise. awoo.stockholm.
Yeah, like, don't worry about it. I was thinking that could be like a station ID kind of thing.
Do you want me to do a station ID?
Yeah. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
This Frank Turner and you're watching, is it awoo.stockholm? Right.
Awoo.
awoo.stockholm. Okay. Hi, my name's Frank Turner and you are watching awoo.stockholm.
Thank you. That was brilliant.
Yeah? Was it good?
Yeah.
Stockholm.